I'm ready to paint. So I've already added water to my concentrated watercolor paint, and I'm ready to get started. So what I think the best thing to do would be is to start with my number, with one individual number, and painting the shapes within that first. So I originally began my drawing with the number 4. And so I'm going to look back. They get confusing. So I'm going to look back and I'm going to find my 4. And so I'm going to stick my first colors that I use, my first painting that I do, I'm going to stick to the shapes within this 4. And so there's no real rhyme or reason as to color. I can use any of my brushes. You have 4 brushes in your kit. You have the brush that comes with the watercolor palette, and you have 3 others. So I'm just going to start with this one because I have it handy. And I think I'm going to start with a small section, which is going to be this little guy. And so it really doesn't matter what color I use. I do like to have a little piece of scrap paper, though, so that I know what the color is going to look like. So I'm going to pull a little scrap piece of paper over here. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. So I do like that color. And all I'm going to do is put the paint on the brush and fill in. Now, as I get to larger sections, I may find that it gets some kind of splotchy, and that's just fine. That's what watercolor does. That's how it rolls. So that's, not a big deal. So let's say in this larger section, I think I'm going to try the green. And sometimes while we're painting, part of the paint starts to dry before we're finished with the entire section. Let's see if I like this green by itself. Yep, that will work just fine. Uh-oh, I smeared. That's okay. And so sometimes it will dry as we're trying to get more paint on our brush. That's not a big deal. If it gets a little blotchy, it gets a little blotchy. It is what it is. That's just the nature of watercolor paint. And so since we have our blending, our corners of our shapes are going to look naturally darker anyway. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of a neat look. And so all I'm going to do is stick with my 4, and I'll go through and I'll paint different colors. I might go back to blue. I might throw in a yellow or a pink or whatever colors I want. And I'll paint my 4 first. When I'm done with that, I'll flip my paper over and I'll paint the areas that haven't been painted of my 7. When I'm done with that, I'll flip it over and go to my 8. And then I'll go to my circles. And then I'll be almost done.